Welcome to our new podcast.
Welcome to the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vows Ventures.
Not the first take. We've done a few intros already.
No, but now we've decided this one is the one.
Yeah.
We're not changing it again. We're not recording again.
Yeah.
It's our first episode. We want to introduce ourselves and let you know a bit what we want to talk about, even though we've already done a bit of a short description that maybe you've seen or heard.
So welcome to the Vows Ventures podcast. My name is Freddie.
And I'm Gabby.
And we're married. And we're quite. I'm 32.
I'm 30. Going to be 31 this year.
And we created this podcast because we wanted to basically share some experiences of life that we've had and just tell some stories about how we're not only parents of two young boys. We have our third child. Somehow we managed to pull it out of a hat. A daughter.
Yeah.
On the way. But we're also business owners and business partners.
And we're married. So basically, yeah, we're married.
And yeah, it
have
literally
kids,
is Vows Ventures.
work together.
Through and through. Yeah.
24 hours out of 24 hours.
Yeah.
Out of 7 days.
Yeah.
Together.
And I love it. Wouldn't change it.
I love it too.
And
sometimes I just get a bit tired, but I'm joking.
Not tired of me. But we've been together for nearly a decade, and
yeah.
Honestly, like, our relationship has just been so like easy.
Yeah, I would say like it's not. We have our disagreements like any other couple, but I think the way we see our relationship and the way we manage it makes it so easy and fun and quick to solve if we have any disagreements. So what I mean with this is we're not a perfect couple, but we do get along so well. We're best friends. I think that's really the key of it, is that we are really good friends. We agree to disagree on certain things, and yeah, we just make it work in the most transparent, communicative way, for business and for our relationship and for our kids as well.
But we wanted to mainly do this podcast to share those stories that we've had and our experiences and kind of
our daily life, really.
Our daily life, but also connect with other people who are in our similar situation or
same stage of life, I would say.
Yeah, same stage of life, because I mean, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy being a parent, for sure. I mean, we'll go into it in other episodes, but like, you know, we're learning as we go, I think.
Like everyone else, really.
And like we're definitely learning as we go, and like it's a fantastic experience, and like I wouldn't change it for anything. But it's like we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
No. I think this is clear. I think what we want to share is with anyone else that is in the same stage of being married and with kids, maybe working together, maybe not, maybe working for a company. It doesn't matter. The fact is that you have to manage adulthood, where you're working, you have responsibilities, you have kids, and you have a relationship to maintain, and you maybe have been X amount of years together. We are 10 years next year. 10 years next year together. And yeah, how do we navigate everything? That's what we want to share, is like, how do we do things? And then it's fun to feel like you can connect with other people that may be going through the same situation, because I think in our stage
just
of
like
life,
navigating parenthood in general, like it's mental. Like when you're trying to balance everything as well, like it's not easy. And I think it's kind of, I'm not really someone who kind of like asks for help. I'm not really someone who looks out people in similar circumstances, but that's not a good thing. Like I'm someone that I think I would benefit from, you know, or other dads, for example. I can only speak from a dad perspective, but like dads don't really like talk. Men in general, like we don't talk about stuff. Dads, I don't think, talk about stuff like
less than women. I would
for sure. I mean, I met a few people here where we live who are like quite open to that, but I think it's an exception. It's not the norm at all. But anyway, this podcast and these series of podcasts, we just basically want to communicate and connect with people and share our experiences and share our stories and like share the things that we've learned being parents, and also talk about like briefly touch on work and like how we navigate being parents, but also rearing children.
Like, for example, when you have a call at home and you have your child that is screaming on the other side.
Oh, like I've been in like Google Meets with like very, very serious business owners when I have like my eldest Ollie at home, like you were at the office, and like he's on the toilet taking a shit, and like I'm on a Zoom call, and I'm like, Ollie, just please be quiet, just for 5 minutes while I have the Zoom call, please. And he'll be like, okay, Daddy. And then he was still going through the time where he would request for me to clean his bottom. And I'd be on a Zoom call and I'd be talking about something very serious, and I would hear this from the bathroom, Daddy, can you clean my butt? Coming from, and I was like, never instantly muted my microphone as quickly as possible, and like balancing laptop. Sorry, I'm just going to turn off my camera for 1 second. Balancing laptop in one hand.
And cleaning the bottom.
Cleaning bottom in the other hand. And just managing that, and to be honest, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was quite impressed with the way that I handled that. No one was the wiser, but that's happened on more than one occasion.
It's life, right? Like, I think that's what we fail to realize, is that everyone has life behind that camera. It's like you try to balance it out, everything. Like you try to, but there's moments, exceptions. Maybe the kid is sick or whatever, and it happens to be staying at home, and you need to.
I mean, more often than not, like with like, I don't want to talk too much about work, but like in terms of work, more people are now more chill about that stuff.
I think COVID helped.
COVID helped in that way.
Yeah, really, really helped. Anyways, I wanted to touch on quickly our backgrounds, how we met, because we were quite young. I was 21 when I met you.
A little babby.
Yeah, I was like 21 and just a few months. And
when you say that, it kind of makes me come off like a predator, but I was like, I'm not that much older than you.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I was very young. I was also young too.
No,
right?
we were young. We were very young. I mean, very young. We were young, but we knew what we wanted. We knew we wanted to be in a relationship. We knew, so it was fine. It was not under 16.
So our backstory. Do you want to say it, or should I say it?
About how we met. Yeah, go ahead. You tell.
So Gabby and I, we met nearly a decade ago, and we lived in different countries. So
I lived in Spain.
She lived in Spain. I was in the UK.
Yeah.
And I was visiting my dad, who lived in Germany, still does, and I was swiping through Instagram, and I was very into motorcycles. Still am. We still are.
Same.
We still are. We don't have much time to ride them at the moment, but we still are.
No.
But anyway, I was swiping through Instagram, and I come across this like super random photo. So I had an old ass, like really old, 2001 Ducati Monster, and it was bright freaking yellow.
Oh my God.
You do not see many bright freaking yellow motorbikes because no one likes bright freaking yellow motorbikes.
Bumblebee.
Yeah, especially an old ass Ducati Monster. I loved that bike. It was cool as hell. But I was swiping through Instagram, and I come across a photo. She wasn't even in the photo. I was attracted to the bike initially. And it was this...
Good to know, to be fair.
Beautiful, yellow, just sexy, exact same as mine, Ducati Monster. And I was like, that's the same as my bike.
Yeah.
Opened up the Instagram account. Lo and behold, it was this
me.
super attractive, young Spanish girl. And I'm like, oh shit. So I did the typical male thing of doing like. Notice me, follow. Of course, I never expected.
You sent a message, right?
I waited.
You waited.
I wasn't that desperate. I was basically like prodding you, say, hey, what's up?
Well, and, I think from my perspective, I mean, I obviously noticed your likes. I went into your profile, and obviously it did like shock me that you had the same bike.
Yeah.
Obviously, so that you were English.
That bike basically unlocked our relationship because it gave us something like randomly in common.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's so bizarre, and obviously you looked more or less my age. He's 2 years older than me, so.
I was so young, more or less my age. Again, you make me sound like a.
No, but it's like, you know how at that age I feel like you can have big gaps. Like obviously, like my.
You only dated older guys though for ages. So when you say like, oh,
because I'm gonna, I don't want to go into like, I don't want to be, like criticized, but the fact is that at that age, I felt like most guys that were my age, or at least where I live, were not looking for the same things I was looking. I wanted like to have a serious relationship. I wanted to Do you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to
And then you
maybe
met me.
moving together and stuff like that. And they're more like into.
And then you met me with the Pokemon tattoos. What's up?
Well, that was my influence
That's
because
true.
you had no tattoos.
I was quite vanilla, to be honest. I was super vanilla.
Anyways, going back onto the Instagram thing, I noticed that he liked and that he followed, and so I liked whatever picture I thought was nice.
Yeah, and I was like, bing, bing, bing. I was like, holy shit.
I followed back.
And then I sent the smoothest message that has
nice.
ever been written. Books and, university degrees will be written about how smooth my message was, because it was like so smooth criminal. It was just amazing. And I said, so she had changed the color of her bike because no one likes a yellow fucking motorbike.
Well, we don't want to offend anyone, but I didn't like it.
You
kept your bike the
No one really likes a yellow motorcycle. So then I messaged her and I was like, it's a shame that you changed the color of your motorcycle because ours could have been twins. Send. And I was like, this is a flawless message. This is the flawless message. This is just because it's like not creepy and it's not like, it's kind of lighthearted.
No, I actually loved it. I was like, I loved it because it was not about.
Gotcha, bitch.
It was not about me. It was about the bike, and yeah, no, I don't know. I thought it was cute. I thought it was cute. It was obviously not innocent, but I felt it was innocent.
That's how you get them. That's how you get them.
Anyway,
go under the radar.
So I basically I replied and I said I freaking hate the color. I don't know what I said. We still have those messages actually. One day maybe I just kind of like scroll back and find them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then we went into like talking to each other for maybe 2 weeks. We were like, we added each other on Facebook, and then
That's how old we are. We still add people on Facebook.
we added each other on Facebook, and then we went onto a video call for the first time, and I was like, I don't know, I was like so nonchalant about it. I was like out of the shower, wet hair, no makeup.
I was preparing for 3 hours before.
I was like, which is normally I would say the opposite. The girl gets
really ready.
I was
stressing out, like, because I didn't want to make a bad impression.
I was like,
and you just didn't give a shit. You just popped out the shower and you're like, sup? And like, wet hair, and I'm like, I've been pruning myself for the last 3 hours.
I think I was wearing. Well, I don't really have like pajamas per se, but I was wearing like a big t-shirt and shorts, and that's it. I was.
You didn't care. You were just like on the bed, like, hey, what's up? And I'm like,
no, I wasn't. I was on the sofa actually. I remember. But anyways, but yeah, so we had that conversation, that video conversation, and I kind of liked him. I was like, oh, he's cute, and he gives me good vibes. You'll notice in the next episodes, but I'm all about like vibes and like how I sense people. And yeah, I liked the vibe you gave me. So I was like, after we chatted a few video calls and stuff, and I was like, well, you know what? I think it's time to see each other in person. If you want, I'm really happy to book a plane and go to England and see you.
And I was having a mental breakdown this stage because I
didn't know yet, obviously.
I still was living with my mum. I mean, you were still technically living with your parents as well.
I was living with my parents. I just got kindly kicked out because my dog was on heat and was annoying so much my parents' dogs that my parents were like, look, we're lucky enough that your grandma has a summer place in the same neighborhood. Just kindly go away until your dog's done with his hit, and then you come back. So that's why I was like, I think 2 weeks away. And that's when we kind of like chatted and stuff.
But I was like, I'm going to book a plane because I could not fathom you coming and your first interaction with me in the real world being at my mum's house. Love my mum's house, but like, no. And so, I mean, yeah, we booked a flight.
So you booked a flight, came. I picked you up.
Came. We had our first kiss at the airport.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because you're obviously like been chatting for so long because...
I was worried about that first interaction because I was like, how sometimes when you build someone up online, even if you talk a lot, like you have this...
Well, you don't know if she's really short.
No, but you have this relationship that you've built online, and it's like I think a lot of people have this problem, especially when they like know someone, because everything's connecting now. People can meet people for years. I mean, I just was in Canada visiting a really amazing friend of mine. Shout out to Jeff, but he's Canadian. We met online like 3 years ago through a mutual hobby, and like I was like, okay, I'm gonna go visit him, and I was a bit worried going out there, like, okay, is it going to be as chill? But like instantly, as soon as we met each other again, it was like we've been mates for our
So
whole
again,
lives,
it's that
right?
vibe you get from...
But I was worried about meeting you for the first time because
I was
like,
shocked you were tall. I don't know.
Would you think I was short?
I don't know. I think I was like, I didn't expect you to be like, you're obviously not mega tall.
No,
But
I'm like 6 foot on the nose, which is like not tall.
No, but like I'm not petite. I'm like not
you're
super
like
tall.
5'8".
Yeah.
You're no taller than
I'm
5'8".
5'7".
Are you taller than my dad? Just say yes.
Maybe equal.
My
I
dad's
would say
quite
the
short.
same that your dad. Anyways, I just like
because he always says he's 5'8.5", and he's
no,
very particular
that's not
about
possible.
the half.
I mean, that's not possible because I'm 5'7", and I'm not smaller.
Just
than
hear
your
that, Dad? If you're watching, you're actually shorter than what you've been saying for your whole life.
No, I mean. Anyways,
Gabby's like, I'm not going there.
I'm not going there. Yeah, no, I remember the first thing I was like, oh my god, he's like taller than me. Do you know what I mean? I know it's like people are gonna criticize this and like it doesn't matter and all these things, but for me this was something...
Don't listen to you short kings out there watching
No, but for
this.
me that
Women
was
are
something.
chatting
I don't mind if the same size, but like not smaller than me. That was for me like the only thing. I don't care about anything else.
I was wearing my heels, so.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, it was like a spontaneous little like, and then
yeah, it was good. Yeah.
And then we left.
And then we
spent the weekend together.
And I met your parents in real life on the first day that I met Gabby in real life.
I had a feeling about you. I had a feeling like.
Well, your parents were like super nice.
I was like, if he passes the test of my parents, then this guy's gonna stay forever.
I was so nervous. Like, Gabby's father is like the quintessential, in a good way, alpha male. And like, he's a big, beautiful French man. I mean, he is the sexiest man alive is Gabby's father. And I annoy him because I tell him this all the time. But like, obviously, I'm a lad who just came to Spain to hang out with his daughter. Like, you're gonna be like, I know what's up.
I'm actually impressed about how my parents handled it.
Oh yeah, because I was like, they had no idea who I was.
Well, I think they trusted me. They knew I was like not like going to
make a bad
decision
on inviting someone. Yeah.
Exactly, if the person was creepy, or even though sometimes people can hide stuff, but they kind of trust very much my intuition.
Like, which is brave. Like, as a parent,
actually, I think my parents...
we don't give them enough credit for that. Because they could have made it really hard.
They've been like this my entire childhood. We'll touch on it in the future.
But I think some parents, particularly fathers, who have daughters, would be like super overprotective of that.
Yeah,
and like that would have made it... I mean, I don't think it would have stopped us from growing our relationship together, but like...
No, I think my dad's... I don't want to talk for my dad because I never really asked him how he felt in that particular moment. But I think he trusted that if my daughter likes him, I'll give him a chance, and then I'll judge from my own perspective as a father.
I think he trusts your opinion as well.
And so he was like, okay, my daughter likes him. Let's give him a shot. And then he was like, I'll lend you my bike.
So Xavier is his name. He was also big. Is his name? He's also big into motorbikes.
Yeah, he's the one who introduced me actually.
Yeah, and he still has this
VMAX.
Very dangerous, scary motorbike called the Yamaha VMAX, which back in the 90s... It's called the Neck Breaker. It is literally called the Neck Breaker. And back in the 1980s, it was basically named as like the fastest drag motorcycle you could get. And it has no like safety features, no electronics, no nothing.
I think from 0 to 100 is the fastest.
It was one of the fastest bikes from there, yeah. And so it was quick. And he was like, Frenchman. He was like, so you want to ride my motorcycle? You ride my motorcycle. No problem. You just bring it back. So I knew in his eyes he was like, if you drop this bike, you are not worthy. Like, that's literally...
I don't think it was like that, but it came out...
Oh, 100% it was like that. It's like, because I had this...
It's a big trust, actually. I don't think I would have lent my motorcycle.
On the first 2 days that he met me, I was also seeing his daughter and also riding his motorcycle. For him, that was a big test.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
And because your dad is like quite traditional, like manly man, and so like...
But traditional and not traditional at the same time, because if he was traditional, he would have never accepted you to come when we kind of met a month ago.
That's true.
And do you know what I mean? He's not traditional. He's just like... I'm his only daughter. I have two brothers, and I'm the only girl. And I think for a man, even though you're married to a woman and you have a woman in your life, it's never the same that when you have a daughter. You realize a lot more things about women and girls when you have from your own daughter. Do you know what I mean? And so I think for him, it's like, why was I coming with this? I don't know where I was going to with this thought process, but I was saying that I think he was kind of like...
He's traditional, but not traditional.
Yeah, I think he has obviously his education and the way he's been educated, and we come from a background of Catholic education, and you have some values on that in that. But I think he was a bit more free than a traditional because he always seeked for that freedom as a kid himself. So he's the opposite. He's the only boy of a family of 3. So he has 2 sisters. And I think he wanted maybe more freedom that he got. And so that's what he was giving me. He was giving me freedom, but also saying to me, don't disappoint me. So, do you know what I mean? So that's kind of like a description of, I would say, my father.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, they were super lovely. And many years later, not many years later, a couple of years later, I asked his permission to marry you.
Oh yeah, that was
fun.
With a glass of whiskey.
The strategy on that was to get him blindingly drunk, and then ask him. And he forgot that I had asked him. Many years later.
No, I think no. He knew. He
knew. Okay, so I bought a really nice bottle of whiskey, and he and they came to visit us, and when we were living together already. And,
so wait, just one thing. So after that period, that moment where you met my parents, we carried on 9 months with a long distance relationship where we would
see each other every month or 2.
In the UK, I would go, he would come, blah blah blah, and then I said to my parents, look, like, I just want to move in with him. I just feel like it's the right thing. I was lucky enough that I was working with my father, and everything was online, so I could work from abroad. And my dad was like, okay, then let's do that. Let's do it like this. You move, you keep working, and you do your life there, anyways. And I would come back here once a month, here meaning Spain, to be in the office and be present. 1 year after living together, you asked me for marriage, and
I asked it, but the funny story is that when I asked Xavier for the permission, like, we half a bottle of whiskey in, and I was like, Xavier, I have something very important to ask you. He was sitting on a big armchair.
Yeah, it was huge Kenyan.
I grew up in Africa, so like my mom had donated us all these like massive Kenyan pieces of furniture.
Huge armchairs.
Really lovely big wicker armchairs. So he was sitting in this big armchair with this glass of whiskey, just circling it. And I said, Xavier, I have something really important to ask you. And I have a bit of French, so I asked him in a bit of French. And I said, I would like to marry your daughter, and I would like to ask you if it's okay for me to marry your daughter. And he was like this, swirling his whiskey here. Oui.
It's a direct thing.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, thank God. Because he did like pause for dramatic effect with the whiskey.
I love, you know what, I love my parents because even though I think they've always been there for my brothers and I feel like it was a bit of a unconventional. I mean, my parents did marry very young. My dad was 21 when he got married, and I was obviously back when you asked me to marry you. I was 22, and I was going to get married obviously the next year, so I was 23, and I was still for nowadays it's very young. So my mom was a bit concerned in the sense she knew I was happy, and she knew I chose Freddie. But she was concerned about, like, are you sure you've been just, like, 1.5 years together? You don't want to afterwards...
make a decision you regret.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so they were very chill about it, but at the same time they did ask all the...
right questions
to their child, which is me, even though I was, like, a young adult. So it's a fun perspective, right? It's like they're supportive, but they still ask and question, like, are you sure? Blah, blah.
Well, I never wanted to get married, and then I met you.
Oh, yeah, he was all the time saying to me, like, I'm not going to get married. Because you come from a household where your parents are separated, divorced. And I think when my parents are still together, and I think when you come from a background where your parents are divorced, maybe you question if it's necessary to get married. But then he obviously changed his mind. I did not pressure on it. I actually never. I said I want to get married one day.
Yeah, you were surprised.
I was very surprised when he asked. I was like, what the? Because I was like, I just didn't expect. I think maybe in the culture where I come from, which is not far away, it's obviously I grew up most of my life in Spain. I was born in France. My dad's French. My mom's Spanish. I don't think in Spanish culture, at least what I've experienced, men normally take a long time to ask you for marriage. They've been with you for years before they propose. So I was like, and I'm more of I'm a
spontaneous.
I'm very mixed in my way to be. I'm not like just Spanish or like just French. I think that's why I'll explain I felt so connected to the English culture in many ways. But I was like, whoa, he has some balls. Anyways, I loved it, so I accepted.
Yeah.
We got married in the UK.
Yep.
Got pregnant 4 months later in the UK with our firstborn, our boy, Oliver. And
who's now nearly 6, which is mental.
Now he's going to be 6 in 2 months. And
then we decided to move
then
to Spain.
Freddie was harassing me for months. I want to move to Spain. It would be great. It would be nice. It's sunny. I was absolutely against it. I really I would tell you, just shut up. Just don't say anymore. We've just started our life. We were renting a place. We were looking into purchasing a house. And I loved living in the UK. I just loved the UK. I still love the UK. I love my life here. Not because then we moved eventually, but yeah, I was really not for it. I was like, I'm happy here. That's that. Like I think I kind of discover myself as a woman and as a person there.
Yeah.
So that's why I was very attached as well to the UK. And eventually, when I got pregnant, and I realized, I don't think I want to have a kid in this property. Nothing against the property, but it's just like
it was small and damp. I mean, we were young, so we didn't have much money at the time and stuff.
Anyways, I said, you know what? You've been bothering me for months about this. Let's do it. And in very much Gabby's way, I sorted everything in a month, and that was in Feb. We literally, we took the decision end of Jan. We told the landlords that we were leaving. We had a month notice, so beginning of Feb, and I think
we moved on the 19th of March.
Yeah, and then we sorted everything in a month and a half. We were gone.
I drove a van with literally our entire house in it, plus a dog, plus 2 motorcycles.
Your dad came along.
My dad
Very
came
nice.
to drive with me, and you flew over because you were pregnant.
Yeah, I was pregnant. I was 4 months pregnant, and we had a little bit of a scare before, and I was like, where I thought I was going to lose my baby, and so I was like, I'm not going to do like
a trip
UK to Spain in a van. No. And so I took, which I would have done normally. That's more my personality. I would have definitely gone with you.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I'll take a flight. And so I took a flight, and I waited for Freddie for 2 days where I was here. And then the rest is more current.
More or less history,
but then current. We had Ollie was 1 year and a half, and I got pregnant with Gail, who's
now just turned 3.
Who now just turned 3, and now we're.
And then we were for such a long time saying no more babies.
Oh yeah.
And then adamant no more babies, and then I think what happens is I don't want peace. I want problems. As soon as you get a bit complacent and your life kind of settles down. So the first 2-3 years of any child's life is pretty intense as a parent. Yeah. Because they're just learning to kind of survive by themselves. I think once you can kind of leave a child in a room without a fear of them putting something in their mouth and just choking to death, it's quite a nice, it unlocks your next level of life. Yeah. And I think that's when Gabby and I were like, everything's nice and peaceful. No, let's change that. And then we're like, oh, and then it was my fault again because Gabby was like, I really don't want to have a third baby. She just got her body back to how it was. Yeah. And
I mean, not how it was, but how I want it to be.
And for a woman, that's really important. And it is a massive consideration. As a guy, I don't really have to do much, to be honest with you, in terms of my body.
Just 30 seconds.
Give me some credit, Gary. Come on, 30 seconds.
I'm joking.
best 30 seconds of your life. But they
just
they,
3 times.
Yeah, I've only done it 3
Just
times.
3 times.
3 times, yeah.
That's what my parents used to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just 3 times.
And just stop talking. And yeah, so it's like, okay, well, you've had 2. You have a bit of like peace and like regular routine back. You're getting your sleep again. It's
and
like,
then Freddie pops in the bedroom and says, "I'm ready for a third."
well, actually, what happened was that you met at a client event. You met a very nice gynecologist. Who,
yeah, she actually planted the seed in my brain.
Yeah, because we would only try to have a third baby if it would be a girl.
I mean, but you can't choose.
But you can't choose. But then, so we were like, okay, well, we can't choose.
It
will probably be a boy. Let's just like not.
Just a disclaimer, please.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been fine if it was a boy. We were looking for a obviously healthy baby. But we're not going to lie either that after having 2 boys and experiencing how nice it is to have 2 boys, we still wanted to know.
Plus, as a dad, like, I wanted to experience having a daughter. I think I'd be quite a girl dad as well. And I know that for you said specifically that you wanted to have a relationship with a daughter as well.
Yeah, I have a really good relationship with my sons, but I really want to have this like mother but girlfriend, like really close relationship with my daughter, where she feels like any questions she may have or any things that you may sometimes, maybe it's another generation, but fear to ask your mother, that she could ask me, and that she felt like she could really trust me and have fun with me as well as respecting me, obviously, as her mother. I really look forward for that, because I want to share with her as well, like, the questions I had myself, and like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so we only decided to have a third because of your gynecologist, who basically said, "Oh wow, you have 2 boys. Did you know?" This is a hot take, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you know that if you conceive during day...
She basically said, oh, if you conceive on just day 9 and 10 of your cycle, the probabilities of the baby being a girl are much, much higher. And she was like, all my clients, all my patients that I've told this, they ended up having a girl. And I was like, interesting.
Which makes sense, because when we conceived the boys, Gabby was like a military drill sergeant. I'm like, I'm ovulating. Do it now! And I'm like, okay. You don't need to tell me twice. And, you know, if you do it when you're ovulating, it's a higher chance, because the male swimmers go faster, but they live less. They live a shorter time.
Yeah.
And the female ones are slower but live longer. Yeah. So if you can time it where the egg biology lesson is still going down the tube, the male swimmers are basically sadly gone before, and the only ones that remain are the female ones.
Well, that's the theory.
That's the theory. I mean, and it worked. So we're like 10 out of 10 living proof that actually worked, because like we've only had 2 boys. Everyone says if you have 2 of the same gender, you're more likely to have a third of the same gender. And so, like, even some people said, oh, well, maybe Freddie can only shoot male swimmers. And I'm like, okay.
In a laughing way, because I think that's...
But, and I mean, I spoke to my friends about it, they were like, no, what are you talking about? That's not true. And I'm like, okay.
Well, she was very sure of herself when the gyno told me this. And that triggered me into researching way more and reading way more, you know, like, things that I would find online. And there's no studies that prove that this is a fact or like scientifically like true, but there is like this theory that,
well, it's not. I mean, it's not probably like 100% accurate, but it's probably
obviously no. You still can have a boy in that time. Do you know what I mean? But if you base yourself on the fact of what Freddie explained, that the girls swimmers live longer, but they're slower, and the male ones live shorter.
But that's, if you think about it, that's how it works with life. Women generally live longer than men anyway. We go faster, but we die earlier. You know, I plan on never dying, touch wood. But like, you know, that's what happens.
Well, I plan on dying one day in a nice way. I don't want to be like dementia and like my kids having to...
Dark, never going down that road.
Yeah, no. Anyways, results of all this, it took us. When I saw that gyno, it was last year in March, and we are now this year, so 2025 in starting July, basically, and so that's kind of like a year and a bit.
Yeah.
So
but that was a year and a bit of like
of thinking about it, not
thinking
trying,
it.
but
No,
thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I really was unsure. I had a lot of questions in myself. Like I was like, and I think most women, I think we go through the same thing, which is, okay, do I feel capable to handle 3 kids?
Financial
consideration. Am I going to be okay with my body again changing and me working on it again, on getting where I want to be, accepting that it's never going to be like last time, but it's going to be a new me. Still want to be fit, still want to look good for myself. But you have all these questions, and pregnancy is not a joke. It's not a joke.
As one of our clients is a big time plastic surgeon in Ireland. He says pregnancy is a terrible condition, and he has 5 kids.
No,
he had 4 girls, and then the last one was a boy.
It's beautiful, yeah. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, pregnancy, because you're obviously like, or at least I feel that way. I love feeling my babies. I love knowing that they're growing and going to see them in a scan, and I think the most beautiful moment, and I'm sorry about that, because it was not our wedding. I mean, it was really nice, but the most beautiful moment.
Our wedding was nice.
It was nice. It was a very important moment of our lives. But I think that the best of the best of the best is the first time I see my baby's faces. It's just, I can't explain it. It's something else. It's just like, you've been 10 months basically, because they say it's 9 months, but it's 10 freaking months of waiting for this baby and thinking, oh, how is he or she going to look like and be, and da-da-da. Do you know what I mean? And so then after all this effort and pain, you just see your baby and it's like, oh, it's just the most amazing thing, in my opinion. And so we're very happy because we're going to have a girl, and the theory worked. We were lucky.
On every
lucky
scan,
enough.
I was like, it's going to grow a pair of balls.
Yeah, I still don't believe it. But I think, what was I going to say?
We were very lucky.
Yeah, we're very lucky, and I feel, I just manifested it very much, and we were very lucky because we didn't have to try for many months. It kind of happened quite quickly, which is really nice.
But no more.
No.
No more. I'm going to get the snip. We're
really done. 3 is nice, and then now we're...
Whenever you talk to people, though, who are like, oh, you're having a third, they're like, you're having a third? Like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like...
No, I feel like, I don't know, in Spain, a lot of people are telling me, like, wow, you're so courageous,
brave.
You're so brave. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, financially nowadays is like, it's a consideration. Like, we choose to put our kids in private school, and even though it's like, compared to the UK, it's cheaper than a private school in the UK.
It's still a lot of money.
It still is a lot of money. And yeah, so you still want to consider these factors, because you're obviously going to remove that budget from somewhere else to give it to your kids.
As a dad, like, I think I've always been, I think many men want to be the provider, right? And we're very lucky because you and we are business people together, and you provide, I provide, we have a team in that regard. But as a man, like, it does motivate me to succeed more in business, knowing that I have another baby on the way. I don't know why that's the case, but
I think it's cultural. Is like
it's cultural, yeah, but it also like it kind of like makes you focus a bit more. So I said this to one of my friends recently who was a bit worried about having a baby. He was like, well, I'm not ready, like I'm not financially ready, I've got these things with my house and this sort out. And I was like, well, to be honest, mate, you're never going to be totally ready. It's never a perfect time. The joy and benefits you get from having a kid outweighs the worries just 10 times. And he's in a stable relationship, he's in his 30s, like, you're going to come out with it's going to be a win for you. And actually, I told him this, that I found that when I had Ollie and then Gail, and now our third baby, that every single time it felt like a fire under my ass in a nice way. And I mean, I'm someone who like, I work really hard, we work really hard, but I do tend to have moments of procrastination. And
I think that's a human condition.
And you know, I'm the guy who basically like did almost no work at university and then like crammed for like 2 weeks before the exam, and I did all right. Well, you're the total opposite. I'm like you're like the
I'm like the ant that is constantly like,
yeah, and I'm just like and then I'll just do the thing.
But that person, I think it's
maybe it's a male thing as well.
No. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a personality thing. I think I always work in a constant way out of fear.
Out of fear.
I mean, not out of fear of a lack.
Mm.
So I'm like, if I'm constantly working, then the odds of lacking is.
No, I constantly. We're both constantly working.
No, you're constantly working, but you have like a. You will have like a boost. Like
big time. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like.
But this. So that's why I said to my friend, and you know, after it's the same guy who I mentioned earlier. I went to visit in Canada, and he and I like when I was there, calling you and the boys and stuff, and it kind of like desensitized him, made him realize that actually this is not scary and this is something that's actually really cool. Like I love being a dad. Like it's such an amazing thing and stuff. And
you know what? I think it's not spoken enough, the decision of having your first kid, because I think most people that are in our surroundings that we were obviously like quite young, I would say, to have our first kid.
You were what, 23?
I was 24 when I gave birth. Yeah. I think that there is this thing, and I think it's society kind of like pushing us to think there is a perfect moment to have a kid, and I think everyone that we've spoken to that were worried about that. Oh, it's not the perfect moment financially, or I know I don't yet have a house purchased. We didn't have a house. We were literally, we got pregnant, we were renting, then we moved to the UK, to Spain, sorry, and I rented my grandma's summer house for 10 months, and I was like, Grandma, I promise, in less than a year I found a house and I've purchased it or rented and moved out. So she was really helping us out to have a chance to find a place, and like the correct place we wanted. But yeah, again, it was not the perfect situation. You didn't have many clients. You were actually, because I was working still with my father.
I had just started like.
I had a basic salary.
Basically.
Yeah.
I was like earning like at that time maybe €1,000 a month, maybe €2,000 a month.
Yeah, 2,000.
It was not much money at all, and like you know.
It's good. It's like it's not like €2,000 is not bad. It's not. It was not our goal.
It wasn't our goal, and like I mean, and also like you know, I mean, compared to UK standards. Compared to UK standards,
I was earning
it's
less
not that
than
much
that.
money.
I was earning less than that.
So compared to UK standards, it was not much money. But like, obviously things have changed since then. But like, the point was that I had like. It was
not the perfect moment.
There's never financially, but there's never a perfect moment.
No. In general, it was not like we were very happy. I think that was perfect because we were very happy. We love each other a lot, and it felt right for us. It felt like it was the moment.
Yeah.
But if you look at all the things that you normally look into when you want to have a kid,
you want to have a solid career, you want to have a house, but then you wait, and then you're in your mid-30s by that time, and then you're tired, and
it's not. I mean, it's not. I think you should.
Well, no, you're not tired in your mid-30s.
I think you should do you, and you should have your kid when it feels right, not when you think life is perfect and it's the perfect moment. I think it's when it feels right. In your inner you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it felt right for me. I was 23 when I got pregnant, and it felt right for me and for you. Like, at that time you were 25, I was 23. It felt right for us. Doesn't matter. That's it.
Yeah.
But for someone else, it might not feel right at that moment. It might feel right at 35.
But all that I would say is, though, don't let society, or like in many cases your parents, tell you that, because you don't have your dream career yet, that you shouldn't do it. If it feels right for you, if you want to do it, that the career thing and the money thing shouldn't be the thing. It will come along.
Well, the thing is, I base myself on happiness is chosen, and if you're happy and you choose happiness and you choose and visualize what you want, then you work towards it, and then you get it. Maybe not as quick as you may want, or do you know what I mean, or not the direct way and path as you may want, but you get it because you're happy and you're looking for it and you want it and you accept that you're going to work for it. And that goes in every, for me, it goes in every topic or thing you may want in life.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to end the first podcast, personally. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We're going to try to put out a new podcast every single Sunday. This is an experience for us as well, so, you know... we
wanted to do it for a long time, actually. We tried it, but it was like very work-focused.
Yeah.
And now we've decided we needed to have 2 different podcasts.
We just want to talk about life in general. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.